Good morning. So happy Father's Day. Today I'm going to go over the top 10 mistakes I see that new shooters for USPSA and PCSL tend to make. These are also mistakes that I made, so just bear with me and hopefully it'll give you something to think about before you compete in your first match, all right? So first things first, we're going to talk about trying to shoot fast, all right? A lot of new shooters, whenever you go up there, the guys on your squad, they'll ask you if you've ever shot before. If you say no, you've never shot a match before, then they tend to put you to the back of the squad, okay? That can kind of be a hindrance a little bit because you see all of these guys go before you and you see how fast they are, so you want to try to match their speed and intensity. Like me, I did a little bit of research before I competed my first USPSA match, and I signed up on the squad with all the M's and GMs, which is Master and Grandmaster, and I watched nothing but the top tier shooters shoot and how fast they were. So I tried to do that. I ended up having a lot of misses on targets, a lot of Charlies and a lot of Deltas, and very few Alphas. Alpha is the center of the target, and that's where you want to hit. That's where you get your most points. We'll go over scoring in a later video. That's not for right now, okay? So they go too fast, they get a lot of misses, or they'll forget a target entirely, and they might have a procedural or a safety violation where they break 180 or ND and get disqualified from the match. Your first match, your main goal is to not get disqualified, okay? So as long as you do that, doesn't matter if you place dead last, you won, okay? Next thing we're going to go over is part 2, or point 2, is not having a stage plan. I didn't realize the importance of having a stage plan whenever I first started shooting in these practical shooting matches. I just kind of went in there with this vague idea of what I wanted to do that caused me to miss like entire targets as a whole. So you want to make sure you get your walkthrough in, show up to the match a little bit early, get your walkthrough in, walk every stage, make sure you're good to go, and then whenever it's actually time to shoot that stage, then you can go shoot the stage, and you'll have a walkthrough during that. It'll be a 4-minute little time frame, and make sure you're getting every target. Read the WSB, count how many targets there are, make sure during your walkthrough you're hitting all 13, 14, 15 targets, whatever it may be. Make sure you're there, all right? While you're doing your walkthroughs, you want to make sure that you're picking your spot to do your reloads, okay? So, clear. So, if I have these 4 targets right here, and then in front of me, I've got another 6 targets, right? So, in total, 1, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15. I have 15 right here. Now, on my back wall over here, I've got another 7 targets. I would not be able to finish out this string of fire if I try to shoot all of these with one magazine. This only holds 23 rounds. So, I would not be able to do that, all right? So, I would go up, paint, 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 do my reload as I'm coming over here, okay? So you want to stage plan in your reloads, minimize the excessive movement as much as you possibly can, okay? You don't want to have too much movement, that's going to slow you down, all right? You don't want the gun to run empty, you don't want to have any procedural penalties for FTSAs, which is failure to shoot at, so you don't want to miss a target. Overall, you just want to have a good stage plan so that you know you're going as fast as you can, all right? Something one of the guys that talked to me before my last few matches, he went over the fact that I should be visualizing my targets before I even go up there, right? So if I'm in the hole or on deck, I'm sitting there and I'm like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, right? So like, I know what targets I have. They're in my head. I know what I'm about to shoot next, okay? Go over that 5, 6 times, 7, 8 times until you got it down to where you can just mentally do it know where your feet are going to be, know where your reloads are going to be, okay? Point 3 is looking at the guns during reloading, all right? So I used to have a bad habit of this too, because in the Marine Corps, they taught us that during a reload, you pull it up to your face and you look, all right? For a competition, you don't need to do that. And this will actually help you in real world scenarios as well, because you don't need to do that, all right? Whenever you reload, drop the mag in, either be looking at where you're going next so that you have your mark that you've designated during your walkthrough, that's where you need to stop, so you can hit these targets right here and these targets right here, instead of like hitting these targets right here, having to take a step over and hit these targets right here. So pick your marks, hit your reloads on the marks, save yourself a little bit of time, okay? I didn't realize the importance of this until I watched a lot of the like top tier shooters at my local range shoot. And then I realized that none of them looked at the gun whenever they did their reloads, okay? A lot of new shooters stand still too much whenever they shoot, right? So there obviously are some stages where whenever you draw, everything's right here in front of you, so you can just knock all that out before you move on to your next one. But let's say that the side of this desk blocks those targets and I can't see them until I get past them, right? For something like that, I'm gonna pop around, pink, 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 all right? You wanna be moving as much as you can, that way you're not slowing down, stopping in spots that you shouldn't stop at. It minimizes the unnecessary movement, and you can shoot while you're entering a position or exiting a position instead of just now move. You can and move, okay? So, pretty easy. Obsessing over gear. This is point 5. A lot of new shooters tend to obsess over gear. What's the most expensive, what they need, so they'll go out and they'll buy a $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 pistol. They don't need it. My first match was shot with a $400 Smith & Wesson, okay? That's all you need to get started. You don't need the really expensive gun. Money doesn't buy skill, okay? So at the end of the day, get good with something that's basic and go from there. Smith & Wesson, Glock, Walther, can't go wrong. There's some pretty cheap options out there for those, and it'll get you going, all right? Expensive optics. So this is a Vortex Defender ST, all right? I got this on discount for, I think it was half off whenever I bought it. There are cheaper options out there. You can go like O-Sight and get a little bit cheaper of a optic, and it's just as good, okay? Now the warranty for Vortex is pretty awesome. I did have one of these go out on me during a match. I just snatched it off and ran irons for the match. No big deal. But you don't need like a Trigicon SRO to shoot a match. Yeah, they're nice, but they're like $700 and they break. Every optic pretty much I've ever had has broken at some point in time. So besides like Night Force and EOTech, I think those are the only two I've never had break on me. But you're gonna pay for those. Those are really expensive. Why pay for something that ridiculously expensive when lifetime warranty is lifetime warranty? Now, if you have the money for it, go right on ahead. Now, I know I said that you don't need an expensive gun, and I know this is the M&P 920 competitor with the aluminum frame, magwell, all that stuff. This was not the first gun I started with. I worked up to this gun. I really like this gun though, and if you have the $1,000 to spend on it, I recommend it, okay? Fancy competition belts. So I went over this a lot during my budget video, which is a few back. You can go check that out. This is a double alpha Lynx belt. This is a fancy, expensive competition belt. Everything else on it's not. The holster, the mag holsters, those are not expensive, okay? But you don't need this belt. You can get away with something like this. I think they're like 20, 30 bucks on Amazon, and it's just this rigid duty belt, okay? Comes with an inner, which is this right here. Comes with an inner. You can put all your stuff on it and shoot the match with this right here. You don't need a double alpha belt, and that's fine. This wasn't the first belt I bought. I don't remember why I bought this. I think I bought it for a buddy of mine, and he never ended up using it. No big deal. my first belt was the Wolf Tactical belt. All right, this is now currently my PCSL 2-gun belt. This is what I run for that because it's got my retention holster on it. It's got my mag pouch for my AR magazines on it. All right. These belts all come with inners. You need these to go in your belt loops to secure that to your belt. Makes it easier so that your belt's not flopping around whenever you're drawing your weapon. Okay. Again, the reality is skill matters more than your gear. So if you have really expensive gear but no skill, you're just gonna look like a fool out there, okay? So get you some cheap stuff, run that until you realize what you actually want, ask the people around you what they like, go from there, okay? Number 6, this one is a big one. Not practicing their dry fire. A lot of new shooters, whenever they shoot, they just show up to the match and they shoot. They've never dry fired, and they have never dry fired, all right? So dry firing is a pretty simple thing. We'll go ahead and throw this on real quick and go over some stuff with the dry firing. I'll do a bigger in-depth video about like what I do for dry fire at a later date, but right now we'll just kind of do this, all right? All right, so, oh. So when you dry fire with a purpose. Every rep should count, okay? Speaking of cheap optics, there's a O sight on my PCC, all right? Awesome gun, love it to death, but yeah, there's an O sight on there, and it works great, all right? So when we dry fire, you want to practice your draw, okay? That's where most people struggle the most. That's what's going to gain you the most time is drawing, reloading, target transition, and movement drills. Those are going to be the things that cumulatively shave the most time off of your stage run, okay? So draw, start out, find you a spot on your holster, right? So like I've got this nice little groove right here. I always put my thumb underneath it, and whenever I start off drawing, I always start with a slow rep, pull, out. All right, always start with a slow rep, that way you can get a feel for everything. Once you get a feel for everything, you just keep doing that, and you slowly increase the speed, all right? Simple, do 50 to 75 reps a day. It'll take you 5 minutes, but that will severely increase your draw speed. I'm still pretty slow whenever it comes to the draw, but I have improved vastly. Next thing is going to be your reloads, all right? If you have hard floors like myself, grab you a laundry basket, throw an old blanket or an old jacket in there you don't use very much, and practice your reloads. So whenever you're practicing your reloads, you're practicing your draw as well, all right? So reloads are simple. Put 2-3 magazines in your belt. I got 2 right now because the rest of them are loaded up, but just so we're clear, empty magazines. Yeah, so whenever you're practicing your reloads, you're also practicing your draw. Still do your 50 to 75 reps of draw and trigger pull, and then do your reload reps. I'd recommend 25 to 35 reps of that a day as well, okay? So find your spot on your holster, and beep. See what I mean? You're always looking downrange. The gun's in a controlled position. You're not flagging anybody. You drop the mag out. Reload. All right. It's not hard. It takes time to get used to. I'm cheating because I have a mag well on the bottom of my pistol. That's a division I'm in. I like a mag well. Why would I not use it? Okay. Target transitions. So for target transitions, you can do several things for target transitions. Now, obviously, like if I'm right here and I'm not really transitioning a whole lot, right? But if I use this far left target and my far right target, I have a huge transition that I have to do. All right, so get some, throw some change in the mix, all right? So like all right? And that's me. That's how I do mine. There are way better shooters out there than me. You can find all of this information online. There's plenty of YouTube videos, Instagram Reels, or you can just Google it, all right? Movement drills. So whether you got a ladder or cone set up and you're shuffling to the side, you're running forward, you're running backwards, all that, right? Get your movement drills in. It will help you out a lot. All this you can do at home, in your backyard, in your garage. This is my gun room / gym. I do most of it in here or in my living room. It's just where I do mine, okay? Point 7, a lot of new shooters will ignore their accuracy and just send it, all right? This goes along with part 1 of shooting too fast, but they're ignoring their accuracy, all right? They're just trying to look cool for the gram, have a really fast time, have a cool clip to post, all right? That doesn't matter if you're trying to win a match. You need to pay attention to your accuracy. It's something I've been working on recently. You can check my practice score, Joseph DeGilio. My last couple matches, I've either been the high alpha or one right underneath high alpha by like 3, I think. Now that guy bodied me in time, but my hits were there. I didn't have that many mics throughout the day, and the ones that I did have were, I believe, on the first stage where my head wasn't in the game. I was helping RO, didn't do my walkthrough properly, had an FTSA, and then I had one that was a no-shoot mic, and it was a partial target. So I hit the no-shoot on the bottom, and since I didn't get the other shot on the brown, it counted as a mic. I was really close to that target, and I didn't think about my height over bore, learning my hold, all right? The real answer for this is you don't need to shoot faster, you need to see your sights faster, okay? So if you see your dot and your target focused, as soon as that dot's on that target, you start pulling as you're going into the A zone, all right? It's pretty simple, but it can be a problem at the end of the day. So make sure you're focusing on your sights and your target and getting your hits. Being fast means nothing if you can't hit the broadside of the barn, all right? Point 8, comparing yourself to masters and grandmasters, all right? A lot of new shooters will get discouraged because they'll see a master or a grandmaster and see how good they are and they compare themselves to them. I don't recommend doing that. Everyone started somewhere. Even that master and grandmaster sucked whenever they first started. So unless you're the type of person like me that's like comparing yourself to them in the sense of overlaying a video to see what they did faster than you, to see how you can improve, don't compare yourself to those upper echelons of shooters, all right? Focus on beating yourself. Focus on doing better than you did on your last match. All right, that's the best thing for you. 9. This is a big one for me because I had a match where I didn't do this. It was like my 5th or 6th match, and it really demoralized me. So I had a new holster made. It was this fancy race holster that I don't even use anymore. It's somewhere around here. I don't really know where it's at, but it was this fancy race holster. I had it made, and every time I would drop the gun into the holster, it would hit this mag release and pop out my mag, right? So whenever I would draw, I would fire, and my mag would fall out, okay? I did not properly test my gear before going to that match, all right? That was a problem for me. Happens to the best of us. Make sure you test your gear before you're going out. You need to check your optics, make sure they're not loose. Check your magazines, all right? So like you see how easy my mag comes out, right? And that's like no force, that's just hitting the button, all right? And whenever I reload, I do that, okay? So check your magazines, run some CLP over them. Like this one I think is kind of dirty, all right? And it probably ain't gonna come out. Oh, well, it did. If they're gunked up, they won't come out that easy. So then you're sitting there trying to strip a magazine out of a gun while you're trying to do a reload, pain in the butt, check your magazines, all right? I already spoke about the holster issues. Check your holsters, make sure all your gear's tight, make sure it's not gonna wobble and flop off, all right? Batteries for your optics, make sure they're good to go, make sure they're not dead, and if they are, make sure you have a backup set of batteries on you, okay? Like I keep some in my gun box. That way that if one does die, I can just throw a new one in, call it a day, all right? And the final point, this is a big one. A lot of people are really egotistical whenever it comes to guns, and whenever I say that, I'm talking about new competitors. They're really egotistical. They think they know it all. They think they have it all down, but in reality, you should be asking the master, the A class, the masters, and the grandmasters around you what they're doing, right? Like how to improve. Ask them about their stage plans, why they choose which positions, and like even how they practice. Okay, so make sure you're talking to those guys. Don't mess with them whenever they're doing their stage planning and stuff. Now, if you're cool with them and like you've shot a couple matches with them, they'll probably walk you through their stage plan. Like most of the guys I shoot with that are way better than me, they walk me through their stage plan as we're going. Now, that's not to say you won't see something else that you think is better. Try it, okay? But you should be asking the grandmasters and the masters around you what you can do to be better, and they'll show you years of experience in a one match setting. All right, that's pretty much all I got for you. Everything's pretty simple. It's just things that I see happen a lot, especially the asking questions, not getting their stage plans right, moving too fast without getting their hits, not checking their gear. So like even myself, this rifle right here, before my last 2-gun match, I checked my optic mount and it was loose. So I tightened it down, put some new Loctite on it, went out, re-zeroed it, made sure everything was good to go. But I had to check my gear. Check your bolt carrier, check your trigger pins, make sure they're good to go. Make sure your buttstock's not gonna wiggle off, all that stupid stuff, all right? It's pretty simple, down and dirty. But at the end of the day, just make sure that you're having a good time and don't get DQ'd. Again, I shoot out here at Element Training Complex in Holt, Florida for Meridian Indicator League. If you want to shoot a match, go to Practice Score, sign up. You can squad with me. I'll walk you through what I do. They're way better people than me that typically squad up with me, so they'll show you what to do. Get your gear on. Go have a good match, all right?